All right, what is good, y'all? So today we are coming back with a tier list video. And not just any tier list video. We are doing a video on the hardest drugs to fake being sober on. Because this is something I've thought about a lot um, as I've been dabbling. So we go through the tiers here. We just got might as well be sober, and then through D, C, B, A, and then at the top, which would be where S would be, it's just impossible. You cannot fake being sober on this drug. It's just impossible. Which this is my second recording because my OBS ran out of space, so it just stopped recording. So yeah, we're doing it again. It was shitty anyways. I wouldn't shut up, so it was just like taking up a bunch of space and whatnot. Well, it wasn't even that long. It was 10 minutes before it cut, but like the tier list wasn't even like halfway over. So, anyways, um, so yeah, down here we have alcohol, we got caffeine, which I'm using Ghost to represent that because they're delicious, and then we got shrooms, anything containing psilocybin. Then we have lean here, which this represents codeine because I've never actually taken codeine with promethazine, which makes lean. I've just taken codeine, so that's what that is. And then we got weed right here, and then we have over-the-counter painkillers like Tylenol, ibuprofen, whatnot. And then over here we have DXM, as represented by Robocough, the best DXM source you can get. Uh, then we got Perk 30s over here, which just represent like opioids in general. Not like fentanyl or like heroin or whatever. Those are a completely different ball game. But we're just talking like your oxys or like hydros, Percocet, stuff like that. Then over here we have Prozac, which is just representing antidepressants. Then we have Seroquel over here, which represents antipsychotics. So, which you might think, why are antidepressants and antipsychotics on like a drug video? Which is like, yeah, no shit, they're drugs, but like they're not like psychoactive substances, right? They don't like distort your perception or whatever. They're just trying to like make you like normal essentially. But we'll get into why those are on there later. And then we have over here we got Benadryl, good old Benadryl, good old diphenhydramine, and I've dabbled a good bit with that, so I'd say I can give it a somewhat accurate rating. And then over here, I don't really know what to do for this one. This is supposed to be Amanita muscaria, but the only thing I took with Amanita muscaria in it are these gummies right here, these road trip gummies that have been going around, and I don't know. I think I'm pretty sure there was other stuff in there. I'm pretty sure it was Amanita muscaria and Kana, which because it made me extremely happy. Like if I was getting kind of a psychedelic vibe, like it was kind of subtle, but then I was also felt extremely happy, like I was on Molly. And I've heard people say Kana is like Molly, so that's just this is just the road trip gummies essentially. I'm just rating them. This isn't really a broad category. It's just the road trip gummies for me, but yeah. And then over here we have nitrous. So which I don't know like how to rank it because like the immediate effects are way different than the lingering effects. So, but I'm gonna say, pretty much for all these drugs, is like you take it and then after you're done taking it, so like no one sees the substance, they just see how it affects you, and that's how you can like get away with it or not. Because like obviously if they see you doing it, they're not gonna get away with being sober. So, anyways, so yeah, nitrous. I guess we'll do the lingering effects of that because like I mean, you probably still like have the shit in your hand or next to you if you're still feeling the immediate effects. So like you're never gonna take nitrous and then like go out and someone's gonna be like, oh, what the fuck are you on, you know? So yeah. Anyways, let's get right into it. We'll start with alcohol. We're not just talking like a light dose or whatever. We're not just talking like one shot, one beer or whatever. This is a moderate dose for all of these. So I'm thinking with alcohol, maybe it should be so this would be like fairly drunk. Like you're not really drunk, but you're fairly drunk. Not just a little drunk. You're fairly drunk. You're like, all right, shit's getting real, you know. So I'm thinking maybe B tier. I'd say because it's when you're drunk, it's pretty obvious. Like you don't like it's very discernible from like different substances or whatever. You can tell people like talk a certain way, you know. It's like very obvious, especially with how like normalized alcohol is. So I think if you're fairly drunk, if you're good about it, if you're like maybe you're used to it, I'd say maybe B tier. Not very impossible, but like you're getting up there. It's not super easy. And then with caffeine, I'm gonna say which this would be like 200 to 300 milligrams or something like that. And I say you might as well be sober. Like, yeah, if you take a high dose, like you're not used to it, you like chug an energy drink, then yeah, you might be tweaking a little bit, and like that's obvious. But honestly, whenever I've been tweaking like on caffeine or whatever, which only it's all really happened to me like once or twice. No one really said anything. It was mostly like me that was noticing it. But yeah, on a normal moderate dose or whatever, you're just like really high energy, really focused. You might as well be sober. There's no real giveaways that you're on something. So, and then on to unlike psilocybin. So, which it's hard to say for psilocybin because the highest dose I've taken is an eighth, and I'd say it was very obvious. It was pretty obvious I wasn't sober, but it's hard to rank. Well, like is an eighth a moderate dose? I don't really know. I feel like a moderate dose would be like maybe 2 to 3 grams. I think once you get to 3 to 4 to 5, that's when it starts being like a higher dose, especially with no tolerance. So I say a little bit below an eighth, like maybe 2 to 3 grams would be about a moderate dose for me. And whenever I take in 2 to 3 grams, which I took because I took 2 grams like the other day, and like I managed it pretty well. And I was on weed and some other stuff, so like the effects were amplified, and I handled it pretty well. I'd say like I was able to like go about my day fine or whatever. Completely different experience from taking an eighth. But again, 2 grams isn't a microdose, so I'd say 2 grams is about a moderate dose. You know, you're feeling shit's kind of breathing, you know, like the walls are breathing and whatnot. So I'd say on a moderate dose, easier than maybe because it's a different kind of having to fake being sober whenever you're on shrooms versus like something like alcohol. So I think maybe a C tier for now, because like my balance is a lot better when you're on a psychedelic versus, which you may like look a little weird and you may talk a little weird on shrooms, but I mean you'll talk weird on alcohol as well. So like the only real giveaway is like if someone looks at your eyes, you're kind of fucked. But yeah, I'm gonna go C tier for now. I think that's because alcohol inebriates your body, and that's like the biggest giveaway that you're really high on something is like your body movements. Because if you're like stumbling around into shit, you know, then that's like the biggest giveaway, I think. And then also the way that you talk or whatever. But like this is assuming like you're going out of public and you like have an interaction with somebody, like, or even if you know going out in public, like let's say you interact with like your roommate or like your siblings or your parents or something like that. What are they gonna think is essentially what this tier list is. So but I will say I do get really smiley off shrooms, and you know when you smile, people know you're on up to something. So I don't know. We'll go maybe a B tier. We'll go B tier. I think it's a little behind alcohol, but then again, I haven't gotten really drunk before, so. But I've gotten a little drunk, but not very drunk. Not what I consider like a moderately like drunk dose. But anyways, on to codeine. Now codeine, I think it should be. I think you might as well be sober on this one, honestly. Well, not to the extent of caffeine though. It's like, okay, if you take because whenever I took a light dose, I didn't take a moderate dose. But I remember I just felt kind of glued to my chair or whatever. Like I was playing a video game. I think I was playing Xenoblade, and I like didn't even feel like playing the game anymore. I just wanted to like slump, but I could still move around and fine. I wasn't like, I didn't feel like my movement was impeded anyway. So I think we'll do it above caffeine though, cause like it's not on the same level as caffeine. Caffeine is definitely it's a lot easier to fake being sober. Which caffeine, it's fucking legal. You wouldn't even be in that situation anyways. But again, might as well be sober. And so I think it's a little bit above that. And then we have weed. So weed, personally, I think weed is it's kind of obvious. There's a lot of telltale signs. One is the smell, but I don't smoke like actual weed. I just use like carts or vapes or whatnot. So that's what my frame of reference is from. So when it comes to those, I'd say if you're smoking normal weed, then it's like, okay, you will smell like it, your eyes will be red, and then you'll be acting high. So I think if you smoke like a good amount of normal weed, then it's impossible. Like they will know, especially unless you're around someone that knows absolutely jack shit about drugs. But if you're on like an average person, then they will know it's impossible. However, when it comes to carts and vapes and stuff, that shit's subtle nowadays or whatever. And if you've gotten used to being high, you know, like what people are looking out for, you know, you can kind of act pretty normal. So It's weird. I'm more inebriated on weed than shrooms. I'm gonna be honest, because shrooms just makes me like think differently, but weed makes me fucking stupid. Like I'll walk in one room and I'll just forget what the fuck I'm doing. Like I do, and it's not like sometimes that happens. It's every time that I do that. If I try to keep something on my mind, it is gone. So so it's like hard to hold a conversation or like or whatnot if you're pretty baked. Then yeah, it makes my body movements kind of rough as well. And then like I get really hungry, like, and I don't really eat much normally, but when I'm on weed, dude, I get the fucking munchies. I eat a shit ton. So that's another telltale sign. And then obviously, you know, your eyes go red. So I'm gonna say, I think it's an A. I think it's an A, honestly, because like it's pretty obvious. If you're pretty baked, like if you're on a moderate dose, I'd say it's fairly obvious, but not impossible. I've gotten away with it several times. Actually, I don't even think I've gotten like suspicious on because weed. I'm more careful about weed because like I know how obvious it makes it. It looks. So I'm gonna say A tier. I think it is an A tier, to be honest, but maybe I'll change that as the list goes on. I don't know. Anyways, up next we got the over-the-counter painkillers. Now this is your Tylenol, ibuprofen, you know, whatever the fuck it says here. So these, I mean, they might as well be like sugar pills, to be honest. Like to me, even for their like pain relief effects, I don't even really notice it, to be honest. So, but yeah, they don't make you act any differently, and I don't really notice any side effects either. So we'll put that in caffeine. Honestly, we'll put that. Well, no, technically it'd be behind, cause like the lower the list goes, the less, the more sober you look. So I guess the most sober stuff will be over here, but you won't notice shit from it, and no one else will. So now we're on to an over-the-counter dissociative, which is DXM. Now this is a fun one. Okay, like when I first started taking DXM, like, because that was one of the first drugs I ever tried. This was my gateway drug. As stupid as it sounds. And like I was taking pretty low doses. I was taking like 60 to like 90 milligrams or whatever, which is like less than a Plat 1 dose for me. Which, if you don't know, the different levels of DXM, you got the Plat 1, Plat 2, Plat 3, Plat 4, which are different plateaus. And those are basically the different levels of getting high. Each level produces different effects, but past level 4, you're just experiencing the same effects, just more. You're just like more dissociated. So yeah, a Plat 1 is like considered like, okay, that's the starting point. And I was taking like less than that, which would be considered more than a therapeutic dose, but like still it was enough to get me right or whatever. But nowadays, like a moderate dose for me, I think is like a second plateau dose, or like a low second plateau dose. I'd say that's a moderate dose. That's like the middle ground. That's the point to where you can be around other people and you need to stay in your room with like the lights off and like in your bed or whatever. So I would say, you know, if you're on that edge or whatever, I'm gonna put it in C tier because I know I can handle it, and I can fake being sober pretty well. There's one, like, I'm gonna say what it was. I don't want to give it away to people that may know me that watch this, but like there was a certain family gathering that I took I downed a children's bottle of Delsim, and this is when I'm pretty sure I had zero tolerance or whatever, and I was high for 3 days, but because Delsim isn't just because right here this is freebase DXM, but Delsim is DXM Polisterex, which is like the extended release version of it. So it lasted for longer, but it was also like half the strength as well. So I took 444 milligrams, I think, which translates to about 222 milligrams of like regular DXM. So it was about a low second plateau dose. So I don't know how, but I managed to fake being sober. Everyone just thought I was having a really good time, you know. So, and yeah, it doesn't inebriate you in the same way weed does. It's close. It's more close to an opioid like high, I'd say. But which brings me into the next one, opioids. So right here we got Percocet, Perc 30s. Yeah, this goes for like Percocet, Vicodin, morphine, any of those, like any opioids that are in that range. And I'd say that these, honestly, now, okay, this is considering like the best possible situation you can go for. This is the like essentially the best you can hope for. Like yeah, you could like someone can tell you're high on opiates or whatever if they like know what to look for and if you're not trying to hide it. But like if you do your best job, I think you might as well be sober. Now, hear me out. Opioids are considered like a pretty hard drug or whatever, and it's the hardest drug that I've tried. But the thing is, it doesn't really inebriate you very much. You can walk around fine. In fact, I can perform, because my channel is about like, well, I tried to be about like flipping and like doing extreme sports and whatnot. There was one time I went to the trampoline park. I was off 2 hydros and I performed fine. In fact, I was probably doing better than I normally did, to be honest, because like I wasn't feeling really any of the pain, which is the drawback, which is why you shouldn't do sports on painkillers, because you will feel the pain twice as much the next day, because I was starting to feel the pain towards the end of my session, which is why I started to slow down a bit, which means my pain was like catching up to me. So I was already hurting before then, I just couldn't feel it because of the fucking opioids. But yeah, I functioned fine. I performed really well. Does not inebriate your body. And the thing is, it makes your body feel good, right? That's like the main appeal, and like it makes for a nice headspace as well. But like, it doesn't make you fucking like stupid or whatever, and also it doesn't inebriate your body in any way. So I think you might as well be sober on them if you play your cards right. And this is like, let's say you take 10 to 15 milligrams of like Percocet. If you're taking upwards of like 30 or something like that with like no tolerance, or anything higher than that, then it's like, okay, yeah, then people will probably know something's up. But if you're taking a moderate dose, just like a normal dose, then you're chilling, honestly. I think so. But anyways, now we go to Prozac. Now, most people, unless you've been on antidepressants, you probably don't know this, but it actually does kind of make you high. It's kind of like an opioid high, but like a very subtle opioid high, like 3 milligrams of oxycodone maybe. I remember whenever I first started taking it, I started out with Zoloft, and it made my body feel good, kind of like an opioid would, and it made my grip strength very low. So like, and also sometimes I would like run into things, which I don't think it's a placebo effect. It could be, but I don't know. I don't think it is. Assuming it's not a placebo effect, I'll put Prozac. Well, the thing is, if I try, because it's not like I wasn't supposed to be on them. They were my medication I was prescribed for, so I didn't need to like fake being sober on them. So I would say if you're not trying to fake being sober on it, then it would be up here. But it's easy to fake being sober on it. It's a walk in the park. But I feel like it was worthy of mention just because of how fucking just because it makes you feel it kind of feels like an opioid, honestly, but obviously less. So we'll put opioids like up here or whatever, and then there we go. All right. So now another questionable choice on the list, we have Seroquel, which is an antipsychotic. Now, okay, so the thing is with antipsychotics, then if you take it during the daytime, then that likely means you're on a lower dose, so not enough to cause like heavy sedation or anything. And the biggest effect of that, which for me, whenever I was on both Seroquel and Abilify, or I think maybe just Abilify, like it makes you extremely restless. It gives you something called akathisia, which is it's just a fancy word for like a state of intense restlessness. And so when you're doing that, you're tweaking. It gave me like at least 2 panic attacks, I think, while I was on Abilify. So then they switched me to Seroquel at night, and it makes you restless for like the first 30 minutes to an hour before you inevitably fall asleep. But if you're on a low dose and you're just taking it like that, it's fine. However, when you get into the higher doses, which I was later prescribed, they started upping my dose, and then it got to the point where it was 300 milligrams, which is a pretty fucking high dose of Seroquel. The highest dose they make of Seroquel is 400 milligrams, and the highest dose they make of the off-label, I think the generic is quetiapine. I think that's the actual name of it. But the highest dose they make of the off-label stuff is 800 milligrams. So, and that's for people who have a crazy high tolerance, and 400 milligrams isn't working for them anymore, so they need 500, and the 500 stops working like it should, so then they move up a little bit. Realistically, assuming you have no tolerance, I don't care like how much of an insomniac you are, like you really don't need more than 100. But anyways, once you start getting to these crazy high doses, it starts acting kind of like as a deliriant, but it's a little bit different. It's an atypical deliriant. It's not a typical deliriant like diphenhydramine, for example, Benadryl, or Datura, or doxylamine, something like that. It makes you like you kind of go off, or for me at least, it makes you like kind of go off into your own head and you start getting like delirious. Like if you're trying to interact with someone like who's like there with you in front of you, like you you'll be pretty stupid. You'll like your short-term memory will be really bad. You'll be non-responsive, and if you open your eyes, you kind of like see shit flying around. Like it looks like air mites are like flying around everywhere. If you close your eyes, it kind of looks like your vision is like an astronaut, like an astronaut's helmet. That's like what your vision looks like, if that makes sense. It kind of looks like you're in space, but like in a nightmarish kind of way. So, and I had a recently bad experience after I was off Seroquel, because it kept giving me nightmarish delirium before I'd go to bed, and I didn't like that, obviously. So I switched to mirtazapine. But then recently, I wanted to take Seroquel again because I still have some left. I wanted to compare it. So that was a big mistake because I had zero tolerance and I took 300 milligrams. So what happened was after like I started getting a genuine feeling of dysphoria, and then like shit started like hitting the fan, and then I was kind of getting nightmarish vibes, and I was kind of getting a little delirious, and I was like, okay, just go to bed. And like the more it set in, the more heavy my body felt and whatnot. So then I activated sleep paralysis, which was fucking horrible. So like there was like shadow people in the room and whatnot, and I couldn't do anything about it. And I had like 3 or 4 different like false awakenings. So yeah, there was a bunch of crazy shit. I'll say that story for another video, but like essentially I couldn't wake up, and every time I thought I woke up, I didn't. And then there was like shadow people grabbing me and like dragging me places or whatever, and I could actually feel them. The thing is with diphenhydramine or whatever, the delusions aren't the hallucinations, they don't ever touch you. You can never feel them. You might feel like bugs crawling on you or like bugs biting you, but the hallucinations you see don't interact with you. But since I was induced with sleep paralysis, induced with sleep paralysis from the Seroquel, anything was on the table. So it was just horrible. It was a totally nightmarish experience. So that's why if you went out in the public or you try to interact with someone on that, I would say it isn't possible to fake being sober. Someone will probably call for help for you, and like you'd end up in a psych ward, which is ironic because it's a fucking antipsychotic. But I don't know what's up with that. Which they prescribe that to people with fucking like schizophrenia or like bipolar or whatnot, which it's a sedative, and I'm pretty sure that's what, is supposed to stop people from being psychotic and whatnot, but I don't know. Anyways, yeah, Seroquel, way fucking up there. This is assuming you take a moderate, which 300 milligrams, I don't think that's fair to say it's a moderate dose. I say that's on the higher end of a moderate dose, but because they start you at like 25 or 50 milligrams. But just because of my bad experience, and I fucking hate Seroquel now, which I never really liked it in the first place, but yeah, we're throwing that up there. And next we have Benadryl, another deliriant, which technically this isn't a deliriant, but it's anticholinergic at these high levels, which is what makes things a deliriant. So I'm considering it a fucking deliriant. And now we have diphenhydramine. Now, it's in the same boat. It's a fucking deliriant. The body load is absolutely insane on DPH. The only difference is that, for me at least, whenever you're taking high doses or any dose, it doesn't make me sleepy. I've tried taking low doses of it, and same things with doxylamine, which is another antihistamine sleep med, and they don't do shit for me. But when I'm taking high doses, I especially, like even when my body feels like I can't move it, I don't feel sleepy whatsoever. So your body will feel like you're 1,000 pounds whenever you take DPH, or I'm assuming any deliriant. Like, and that's not an exaggeration. You will literally feel like you weigh 1,000 pounds if you take a moderate dose, which is like about 100 to 500 milligrams, and you just feel like you weigh more and more the more you take. It's actually crazy. It's and like your knees will start to wobble, like you're folding on your own weight, which is crazy. And on top of that, if you try to talk to someone, you will be speaking absolute nonsense. You will be saying things, it doesn't make any sense. I've seen recordings of people, like my brother recorded me once while I was tripping on it, and it was very disturbing, honestly. It's extremely obvious, which if you're on 300 milligrams or less, there's a slim chance you can get away with it. But 300 to 500 milligrams, you're fucked. And keep in mind, whenever I took it, I was on antidepressants, which I later found out dulled the experience a bit. So I was able to take 700, like upwards of 700 to 800 milligrams and still be like, which I was delirious for sure, but I was still like somewhat coherent or whatever. So I didn't go into full-blown delirium like a lot of people would. And I don't even weigh much. I weigh like 130, I think. So anyways, so yeah. Honestly, your memory will be fucking ass. So, and you won't be able to move. And also, another thing that was happening to me, I forgot, another side effect, is your mouth will be tweaking. Like, for what a lot of people say is that their mouth gets really dry, but for me, it wasn't only that, it was also, like, I would start, like, moving my jaw and tongue in, like, really weird ways, and, like, And my memory was so shot that whenever I tried to correct it, I would just forget about it, and then I just keep doing it. So, like, imagine, you're sitting in bed, you can't move, your mouth is dry as fuck, you're delirious, you're hallucinating, and then on top of that, you're forgetting everything as it's happening. So if someone walks in and sees you on that, there's nothing you can fucking do. You can try to act sober. It doesn't, the first sentence you speak to someone, they'll automatically assume you're on something. There's no getting out of it. It is impossible. And then now we can move on to the two that I don't really know what to do with, but so this is Amanita muscaria, and it also, which on the back I think it says lion's mane mushroom plus secret nootropic proprietary blend. I think that's what it says. So secret proprietary blend, I don't know what the fuck that could mean. That could be anything. But I'm assuming it's Amanita muscaria because it felt kind of psychedelic. However, the medicine that I was on at the time, even though I took a fairly high dose of it, I took 6 of the gummies and there's only 8 in the thing. And it felt kind of psychedelic, colors were enhanced. I kind of felt like a general sense of everything moving, but like I couldn't really see it moving when I focused on it. It kind of felt like everything was like breathing a little bit, but I couldn't really see it breathing. But it was a little psychedelic. It was a little trippy. And I've heard from other people that they describe it. They're like, yeah, it's pretty much like a low dose of psilocybin. So, anyways, yeah, I was on the medicine I'm still on right now when I took it, which is mirtazapine, which blocks the same receptor that like psychedelics agonize. So, which essentially means it cancels out the effects, which ultimately dulls the visuals. It doesn't dull the other stuff. It doesn't dull the headspace and it doesn't dull the body load, but it does dull the visuals. But for me personally, we're just going to rank the road trip gummies because it's not fair to just say Amanita muscaria because it made me really fucking happy. And people say Kana is kind of like Molly, and it made me feel how people describe Molly. Because I never tried it. Obviously, it'd be on here if I did. But yeah, I could not stop smiling. And the come down was really rough. I felt extremely depressed. So, with that being said, I think it's on the level of weed. Although I think it's ahead of weed. Because, I don't know, I feel like I could fake being sober more on... I don't know. Because, okay, technically I took on the higher end dose. I didn't take a medium dose. I guess a medium dose would be it fucking says it on here. Moderate dose is 2 to 3 gummies. Okay. And then a high dose is 5 to 6. Okay, so technically I took a high dose. So, it's probably on the same level of psilocybin mushrooms, I think. Although, I feel like because it has Kana in it, it's on that same level. If it didn't, then... Well, I don't know. It's hard. I think maybe DXM, but ahead of DXM. I think that's fair. Yeah, sure, why not? I don't know. The Solus is an estimate. These are for sure skis, and then these are for sure skis. In the middle, it's kind of it's kind of a gray area. But anyways, let's move on to our final edition, which is Nitrous. Now, Nitrous... I'm only going to refer to the lingering effects because this is assuming no one's seeing you do it. They see you after you've already taken whatever substance it is. So with nitrous, I'm going to say might as well be sober because the lingering effect is okay, we'll put it in D tier because the lingering effect, it's similar to THC. However, that's just for the visuals and how your body it's kind of how your body feels and kind of the visuals. It's a very light dose of THC, I think. If you take enough for the lingering effects to start stacking up, then I'd say it is more noticeable than anything, and the might as well be sober tier. So I think that's where I'll put it. I think that's about it. Yeah, I'd say this is pretty accurate. The weed, I don't know. I feel like this may be a bad listing with weed here because I've been smoking weed for a good bit, but I'm not a super experienced user. Which I think that goes for all of these substances. The more experienced you are, easier it'll be to fake being sober. But I think this is a fair tier list. So, yeah, Benadryl, Seroquel at the top. And then we got weed, alcohol, psilocybin, and then road trip gummies and DXM. And then we got codeine, and then we got nitrous. And then you might as well be sober if you're on some normal opioids, caffeine, antidepressants, or over-the-counter painkillers. So, yeah, there's a tier list. First tier list video. First video back. Hope y'all enjoy. Let me know if you like these kind of videos and whatnot. And, yeah, peace out. Stay genuine.